we know this. We know what pop music is. We know it's an industry. We know it's curated by people with money that are out of touch. Subscribe, hit the like if you like this throughout the video. I hate saying that stuff. Maybe I just shouldn't. Oh, it's hard. I don't know whether I should say it or not say it. Tell me in the comments below if you hate being told to subscribe, but you need to be told anyway, or if you'll subscribe if I stop saying it. Hello everyone, and welcome back to A Whole World of Love. I am Era of Love, and today we are yet again talking about the pop music industry and how it sucks. No, I'm just kidding. We are going to talk about Justin Bieber today and how his new record, Justice, is a little bit more than problematic. Focusing on the single Peaches and digging a little bit deeper for some meaning. So before we jump into the meat of this subject, I wanted to give a little trigger warning or content warning to let you know that I will be discussing some history that involves the history of slavery, as well as issues that affect Black people in America. I completely understand if these are sensitive topics to you that affect you and your family and your ancestors directly, and if this is just not the type of format for you to discuss that, or if you don't feel comfortable watching, or if you do watch and you either cringe at me or don't like the way that I approach this, please feel free to let me know and share your opinion, but also feel free to click off if you're feeling that way, because I just want you to feel good and have a good day and consume media that makes you feel good. I want to make it super clear that my intention is just to bring about awareness, hopefully to other white folks who are sheltered from the true history of our country and this land that we live on, and hopefully tie that into current events, music, and art in a way that does bring about change and does invite folks to pay attention locally and make actual systemic changes that benefit people's lives and lead to liberation. So this is becoming a bit of a theme on my channel. I'm sure a lot of you returning probably saw how many people have motorcycles. It's like time for me to get mine, I guess. I'm sure a lot of you are coming back, returning from the video that I made giving my thoughts on Miley Cyrus's song Prisoner that featured Dua Lipa, and just why I feel like the lyrics are out of touch. So this is kind of along the same vein of that, except honestly a little bit worse, and we will talk about why. If you like this series, please be sure to let me know in the comments so that I can make more of these. Without any further intro, let's jump right into Justin Bieber and his new record entitled Justice. So Justin Bieber released a new album called Justice. It was actually even before I knew that the album was called Justice. I heard his song Peaches. I don't know, I just got a vibe. I got a feeling, I got a vibe. I was like, I don't know about this one. One thing that I always do that maybe is a little bit laughable, honestly, because we know this. We know what pop music is. We know it's an industry. We know it's curated by people with money that are out of touch. We know this. But for some reason, I still listen to the most popular music, and I'm trying to dig deeper.
I'm trying to understand it
as having some kind of deeper meaning than just being a love song.
as always.
So with the song Peaches and with an album called Justice, I was like, let's see. Maybe he does have something to say. Maybe.
Okay.
So starting with the first lyric of Peaches, Justin comes in singing his chorus. I get my peaches out in Georgia. I get my weed from California. I brought my girl up to the north, yeah. I get my light right from the source, yeah. And then it goes on to literally only be love lyrics that are like obviously love lyrics. I was like, let me dig a little bit deeper into this first lyric, because, you know, when you historicize something, everything in life has symbolic meaning. Everything has a history, ways that cultures all over the world have interpreted these different symbols. And especially something that's part of nature, like a piece of fruit or an animal or something like that, you can really dig deep into how it's grown or where it was grown, or what is the symbolism. So the Georgia peach, I did not know the history of. So in Justin Bieber's Zach Sang's interview, Zach asks him,
is there some kind of storyline that the listener can follow in Justice?
And Justin says,
it's up to the listener.
So this is me as a listener trying to pull out meaning, like he invited me to. So I read the article entitled "The Unpretty History of Georgia's Iconic Peach." This is on NPR's website, and basically, to sum up the history, the Georgia peach was essentially a rebranding for Georgia. After the Civil War, Georgia didn't want to be associated with cotton anymore because of its deep connotation and allusion to the legacy of slavery. After the Civil War, they wanted to rebrand, and they wanted to have a different image, a clean, spotless image of Georgia. However, even the peach itself carries a heavy weight with its historical significance. Through this rebranding that made the Georgia peach so iconic, it became commodified. The article sums up this time by saying, before peaches became an important crop, they hung low on branches throughout the South, and landowners who saw them as without value were happy to give them freely to enslaved people. But once peaches were part of the agricultural economy, they became off limits to all but who could afford them. By the end of the 1800s, Oakey writes, a landowner who caught 3 black children pilfering little more than a handful of peaches charged the father of one $21 for the 3 peaches and threatened the children with a chain gang if he caught them in his orchard again. A laborer working in a city at that time made less than $1.50 per day, making it likely that for black families in the South, those 3 peaches amounted to roughly a full month's wages. What was once freely available to African Americans became a white fruit. So my investigative journalism, otherwise known as reading, on the history of the etymology, symbolism, and history behind the iconic peach definitely didn't stop at Georgia. Actually, the peach can be traced all the way back to the 2nd or 3rd centuries BCE, when the mythology around the peach first started to develop. The peach symbolized to many Chinese people longevity as well as immortality. And this meaning came about through the story of the Queen Mother of the West, who would hold these peach parties, peach banquets, to host deities, fairies, and other mythological entities. When the Monkey King found out, as the story goes, that he wasn't invited to the peach banquet, but rather was expected to work the peach banquet, picking peaches and working in the gardens, he was very insulted and decided to take all the peaches that were in his possession, eat them all, and flee. So the story goes that once he ate the peaches, he received the gift of immortality and was now a deity, despite still being targeted by the others. So after he decided to flee, these deities and gods sent their warriors after him, capturing him and putting him in prison. The Monkey King, who later was known as Hanuman, but at this point in history was referred to as the Monkey King, was expecting to be honored as a deity after he was invited to join these deities in heaven. It turns out that when he got to heaven, he was treated poorly and made to serve the deities, which this was kind of the final straw for him. So, specifically alluding to the Georgia peach, digs up this dirty history of what the peach represents in Georgia. When using this symbol in conjunction with calling the album Justice and including an MLK quote, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth because it feels like he just didn't do the research. Justin Bieber basically is writing in the format of flex culture, and that's really backed up in the lyrics to follow as well. When you look at the chorus as a whole, it goes on to say, I get my weed from California, right? And so it's basically saying that Justin Bieber, because he has the money to do so, can fly wherever he wants to get the prized, most valuable fruit, this white, expensive fruit, right? And then he can take his private plane, or I don't know how he travels, but he can use his money to then fly to California to get the best weed. And this line is also uncomfortable and unaligned with this gesturing that happens when you call your album Justice. When people are still imprisoned for marijuana possession and sales, and you, Justin Bieber, have the ability to fly wherever you want to get whatever you want, including marijuana and Georgia peaches. It goes on after that to just mention love lyrics, and that's really it. That's as far as I could dig into this song. Now, Justin mentioned in a different interview, or it could have been the same one, but someone else posed the question, just asking what his favorite song is, and if he were to get a tattoo of his favorite lyric or song, what would he get? And he said he would get a peach. And so to me, he obviously really likes this song. He thinks it was the single, so obviously he wants it to represent the record as a whole. And to me, the only lyric that you can dig deeper into has a pretty dark history when it comes to African American people and Black Americans. There's so much more history in this article too. I'll link it below so you can read it for yourself. Every step of the way, the Georgia peach was not a positive symbol. If anything, it was just a symbol of oppression and covering up history that really needed to be accounted for. So my final issue with Justin Bieber and his release, especially this album as a whole, is the use of the hashtag justice, as well as the timing of his release. This record was released during the week of the Derek Chauvin trial, and Justin Bieber was using the hashtag justice during this time. Now, everyone seems to still have gotten the information that they needed about the trial. However, something about it still reminded me of the co-opting that we see white supremacist groups engaging in, such as the Black Square, as a way to black out the Black Lives Matter hashtag and to push genuine, helpful information about the movement down. In many ways, this stops people from engaging with actual issues that people are presenting and policy goals that these groups have, and the reasons why we were protesting and bringing awareness in the first place. So all in all, I don't have an issue with Justin Bieber including an MLK sample, calling his record Justice, or writing lyrics that just aren't very deep. Honestly, I expect all of this from pop artists. But my issue does come when people use hashtags that are for different movements, because hashtags are how we organize information now. And in this case, that is the movement for justice. This, paired with the timing of the release lining up with the Derek Chauvin trial, I found to be really problematic, because we wanted people focusing on justice for George Floyd that week, and someone was using the hashtag justice to promote their own music. If you go to his website, there are 0 resources for what you can do to actually support the Black Lives Matter movement, or support, defunding the police in your local town, or anything that would benefit lives today. In addition to that, during his promo for this record, he made it very clear that he didn't want to be the voice for this movement or for these issues. Rather, he felt it was good that he stayed quiet about these things, because he still has so much learning to do. And what I want to say to that, and to any white person that might be listening, is that dismantling white supremacy is a white person's challenge. It is our responsibility to dismantle systems of white supremacy. That being said, I think it's really important to emphasize that as I make these videos talking about these types of issues with state violence, oppression, and how pop culture kind of acts as propaganda to water these things down, I take full responsibility as I share as a creator to learn more and do better constantly. So, for anyone that watched my Yoga for Grief video, I just want to also make a short statement. The main factor that went into me deleting this video is really similar to the reason that I'm critiquing Justin Bieber today, and that is the timing of the release. For me to release a Yoga for Grief video the week that Asian people were mourning and grieving the loss of their loved ones is, in hindsight, inappropriate and definitely not supportive in the way that I may have originally thought it was. When it comes to timing, I really want to be respectful and supportive of amplifying voices and stories that represent that moment in time and the challenges that we are discussing. What I'd really like you all to take away from this series and myself is to just acknowledge the dichotomy that exists when we have music, popular music, being funded by so much money. It's kind of just like inherently out of touch, as well as inviting people into the world of local music. So I have my local music playlist linked below, and I also encourage all of you to make your own local music playlist. As in my Miley Cyrus video, I mentioned that even the most out of touch music is still really just honest. And I think music in general has this sense of honesty that can't be taken away from it. I mean, like I said, even when something's out of touch, it's revealing something so truthful. And part of that is revealing that the music industry, and really any industry that pumps so much money into marketing and getting things out to people in a way that's not just making human-to-human connections, it just becomes out of touch, and it reveals this truth even through itself, through the music. So yeah, this music is still authentic and is still truthful. It's just truthful to something that maybe we need to re-examine. And one way we can do that is, as listeners, we can engage more with our local music economy, as well as local music in general. So when you listen, when you support people's live streams, when you even just follow people who are making truthful, independent music, it boosts your local music economy, and it uplifts more truthful music than the stuff that's getting pushed at us, like this Justin Bieber music that's #3 on Billboard right now. If you're in my area, please feel free to submit your music or a friend's music, and I would be happy to playlist it. So it is okay, and actually is encouraged, that we do talk about these things. But if you're going to do that and then not have any resources linked, not talk about the policy goals, then that's just like textbook virtue signaling, and it's just not helpful. So I hope that this helps us gain perspective on the pop industry and music that has a lot of money pumped into it. Justin Bieber said that he really just wanted to make music that uplifts people in this hard time. And is he wrong? Has he accomplished that? Well, in a way, yes, because you can't strip music of its inherent healing properties. Music is healing, like it just is, no matter what it is. But when you're only writing love songs and you're virtue signaling to your fan base, to your audience, that you're going to speak about issues that cause them more turmoil than relationship challenges, and then not actually really talk about those things in the music itself or in your interviews, I can imagine that that might just make people feel unseen and invalidated. So let's either talk about it,
or, just make love songs like you always have, and don't tell us it's going to be anything else.
All right. So thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this video and you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up below and leave a comment if you're enjoying this series. I am looking forward to sharing my Billie Holiday video with you coming up next. I know in the last video I said I was going to be posting my mini documentary about Billie Holiday. It is taking a long time, and I'm putting as much love and care into it as I possibly can, as well as I did a couple interviews for it with other folks that I'm really excited to share those conversations with you. But the point being, it's not done yet, and thank you for your patience if you are looking forward to that video. And so many other things that I'm excited to speak on. I also have an EP coming out really soon in the next few months. Let's stay connected, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at A Whole World of Love, And I hope you all have the most beautiful day. Thank you so much, and see you next time. Bye.